But now they knew they were part of something way bigger. A huge family that included ancestors like Ben Franklin and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It seemed like all the great geniuses of the world had been Cahills. That was pretty amazing.
Hey, Amy, did you ever want to, get on the conveyor belt and see what happened? Hey, don't mind me, I'm just hanging with the cargo?
And then there was Dan.
Come on.
Amy grabbed her brother by the arm and headed for the departure gates. Nellie was right on their heels, spinning the wheel of her iPod with one hand and adjusting her snake nose ring with the other. Amy eyed the airport clock. 2:13. The flight was scheduled to leave at 2:37. This was an international flight. You were supposed to arrive at the airport 2 hours in advance, not 24 minutes.
We're not going to make it,
Amy said. Now they were running toward Gate 4, dodging other passengers.
Guess they didn't find Rufus and Remus, huh?
Dan called out.
Who are Rufus and Remus?
Amy asked.
The swords, Dan said. I named them after the founders of Italy.
It's Romulus and Remus, Amy hissed.
And they founded Rome, and don't ever say that word.
Rome?
No, S-W-O-R-D.
Amy dropped her voice to a whisper as they pulled up to the rear of a very long security line.
Do you want us to go to Jail? O-O-P-S. Oh.
Nellie wailed off-key to some unidentifiable punk track. The security line seemed to take 32 hours. The worst part for Amy, as always, was having to take off her jade necklace to go through the X-ray machine. She hated to part from that necklace even for a minute. When they emerged, the clock read 2:31. They raced down a long corridor toward the gate.
Now boarding all remaining passengers for Japan Airlines Flight 807 to Tokyo at Gate 4, said a voice over the PA system in heavily accented English. Have your boarding passes ready and arrivederci.
They pulled up to the rear of the line behind a sniffling toddler who turned and sneezed on Nellie.
Oh, manners?
She said, wiping her arm on her sleeve.
Has anyone seen my boarding pass?
Dan said, rummaging in his pockets.
Have mine, drawled Nellie. It's covered with boogers.
Try inside your book,
Amy said, pointing toward the paperback stuffed in Dan's back pants pocket. He pulled out a dog-eared copy of Classic All-Time Movie Comedies, which he'd found in the back seat of the cab on the way to the airport. The boarding pass was marking page 93.
It's a mad, 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 mad world, Dan said.
That's the smartest observation you've made all day, Amy said.
It's the name of a movie,
Dan replied.
I'm reading about it. The plot is so awesome.
Step forward, please. Welcome aboard,
chirped a perky blonde flight attendant whose Japan Airlines headset bobbed every time she nodded a greeting. She was wearing a name tag that read, I, Rinaldi. Nellie handed over her boarding pass and headed into the accordion-walled tunnel that led to the plane's hatch.
Guys, this shouldn't be so hard to do,
she called over her shoulder. Dan held out his pass to the attendant.
It's really a funny movie, like all these old-school comedians searching for this treasure.
Sorry, he's challenged, Amy said to the attendant, handing over her pass and nudging him toward the tunnel. But Ms. Rinaldi scooted in front of them, blocking their path.
Un momento,
she said, trying to keep her airline smile while listening to something over her headset.
Si, si, buono,
she said into the headset mic. Then, with a shrug toward Dan and Amy, she said,
You come with me, please?
As they followed her toward the corner, Amy tried to keep herself from shaking. The swords. They'd found the swords. Dan was looking all puppy-eyed at her. Sometimes all she needed to do was look at him, and she knew exactly what he was thinking.
Maybe we should run,
his eyes were saying.
Where?
She said back to him.